So hi guys, I'm Gunt Patikon. I'm from Bitcoinic Thailand, and here I'll be moderator for this session. So Matt and Joe, you wanna introduce yourself? Matt, you can go first.
Sure, I'll start first. My name is Matt. I'm a co-founder at SynFuture. SynFuture, we are a DeFi derivatives protocol. We started building almost 2 years ago. Everything's fully on-chain to enable permissionless and decentralized derivatives trading. Thanks.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Joseph, co-founder and CEO of Coinhall. So we are a real-time data business. So we built a DEX aggregator. We've got a real-time data engine. Building all kind of real-time data applications. Currently, mostly focused in the Cosmos ecosystem.
Cool. This is what I like to do. I like you guys to give a little introduction about how you came into crypto. Just a short one to get people excited.
Yeah, for me, I started buying Bitcoin in 2013, but sold everything in 2014. Yeah, that was the start of my journey.
Okay.
It was early, but
Should be a lot of gains, right?
oh yeah, could have gained more.
Started 2018, so I was part of a fund that invested in fintech AI, eventually blockchain. We invested in blockchain gaming when it was super out of meta. Failed terribly, but got super lucky. They sold it to Animoca. So that a loser became like a big winner. After that, I ran blockchain accelerators for a couple of years, and yeah, now in Coinhall.
Wow, nice. Okay, let's get into the topic. So our topic is the role of data and Oracle network. So just a introduction here for the audience in the hall. What's the Oracle, and then how do you think it is different in Web 3 and Web 2? Fundamentally different, I mean. Want to take that?
Maybe I can take
Okay.
that. Yeah. Well, I'll probably start with the second part of the question, right? So the difference between like Web 2 and Web 3 data. In Web 2, I used to work for like fintech companies. The data is just the data, right? But Web 3, the data means money. Yeah, every piece of code represents money. So that's why the level of security, the level of reliability needed for Web3 data should be much higher than that for the Web2 data. Yeah.
Okay.
Approach it a bit differently for the second part. So in Web2, different data sources can just interact with each other through like APIs, webhooks, and stuff. For Web3, there's a clear distinction between on-chain data and off-chain data. So if you are trying to trigger an event on a smart contract based on if this then that, it needs to be an on-chain event. So what an Oracle does is bring off-chain events on-chain. That's the main role.
Yeah, actually, I like the way Joe put it, right? Bring off-chain data to on-chain. But actually, I think the word Oracle, it sounds like a crystal ball, right? You actually see this. See through this, what's happening in another world, right? So Oracle can be off-chain data to on-chain, but Oracle can also be, data from one chain to another chain. So long as some data is not native on a chain, then the mechanism to bring this data to that chain will be like an Oracle. That's how I see it.
Okay, so basically it's one of the layers from one place to the other place in that sense. So heading to the next question, how do you think Oracle plays an important role in the blockchain industry? Joe, you want to take it?
For literally any arbitrary off-chain event, you do need an Oracle to bring that on-chain. So main use cases of Oracles now are, so biggest platforms, Chainlink, Band Protocol, people are using price oracles. And the next one is a random number generator. So for the first one, because there's multiple source of truth, different centralized exchanges got different price for a single asset. whether it's ETH. So everyone has a different price. So you need some relayer of sorts, right, to relay all this information back on chain to have a single like canonical price of a pair, so to speak.
Okay, Matt, you wanna add on something?
Yeah, I would say from our perspective as SynFutures, we use oracles to facilitate the transactions of derivatives on chain. Yeah, so this is one of the use cases we think can be some leveraging on some financial infrastructure to make Oracle not only be associated with data and messaging, but also associated with financial transactions.
Got it. And so, I mean, having a good site to relay like all those information and make it like crystal clear to everyone on the data, on where it's come from and what's the reliable data. So what's the risk of using oracles and how do we minimize that risk?
Yeah, maybe I take that. We have seen countless oracle attacks, right, in different formats. When you're feeding a piece of data through an oracle to a smart contract that does any sort of financial transaction, right? So, for example, if the oracle, some validators are corrupted, the data sources are corrupted, or if this is like a spot DEX pool with thin liquidity, the price getting manipulated, then the price feed into the smart contract of the next layer will be incorrect, right? So there will be like arbitrage opportunity or front-running opportunities for people to basically rip off others. So that's very typical oracle attacks. For SynFutures, we take oracles not for trading price determination, but we believe the futures would have independent price discovery themselves. The oracles are just serving as a reference. And this is the way we want to protect the traders from oracle attacks. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Moving on to the next question. Joe, you want to add something? Okay. Moving on to the next question. I mean, as we hear from you guys, Oracle is one of the important infrastructures in the blockchain world. So, I mean, we have seen a lot of development since then in the last bull run. We have seen layer ones coming out with layer twos, more an upgraded version of layer one, modular blockchain, or even multi-chain. So we have seen a lot of development in that sectors of cryptocurrency. And so what about oracles? Like, is there any important improvements, or is there any form of improvement that it could come in the next bull run or in the next few years? What are you seeing? In which way you are seeing it going to?
I think actually the role of the oracle doesn't fundamentally change, right? Because whatever innovation cycle you're in, whatever your use case, it's still you're bringing some form of data and putting it on chain, right? So I feel the use cases and how extensive these can be imagined, the design space is very dependent on the innovation cycle. I think where we are now, most of the on-chain activity is like DeFi. It's highly speculative. So a lot of the use cases are it's price related, right? You go to Dune Analytics, you check out who's using Chainlink for what. Everything it's a price feed, right? The next most used thing is a random number generator. So NFTs use that for good reason, right? Because they use that to verifiably generate a random number so that this launch is not being gamed. An end user who paid the same price as his friend gets the same chance of getting a rare collection compared to the other guy. So how it evolves, actually, it's very meta dependent. It's very like, if people can imagine a very interesting use case that requires some form of arbitrary data from off-chain to bring on-chain, yeah, that's where the use case comes in. I think relevant to World Cup season, right? Betting is betting on chain now. It's a, I guess, quite a pseudo narrative. Yeah, you do need oracles for that, right? Because how do you know that country A actually beat country B, right? How do you pay out the relevant bettors based on what payoff ratios, right? So Yeah, it really depends because all these like supply chain use cases could use oracles for sure, right? But is it really mass adopted? Is it a very strong use case? Yeah, depends on the market narratives.
So basically, it's on the more on the market needs and then the developments, right? But then one of the things that could be certain or could be potentially coming would be the off-chain data that we are dealing with, right? Okay, and so you know something?
Yeah, no, it's so it's like you literally the design space is very big. It's just whether there's actually a need for it, right? Because you let's say you talk DeFi, right? You could have like some super exotic products, right? Like, oh, if precipitation today is like 40 mm, I want to buy ETH for whatever reason, right? So you have some weather oracle. You could, right? It's just is there a need for it? Is there like actual organic demand? If there isn't, then yeah, then there's no real need for it.
Yeah, the area we are looking for improvement is actually speed and reliability, right? Because today, well, actually, also sensitivity of the data, right? Because today, I don't want to mention the specific name, but then you see these Oracle providers who say, oh, we're going to update the price every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. Or there's their upper and lower band of 0.5% difference. If that's triggered, then they update it again. If that's not triggered, they don't even update it, right? So that's like not as qualified for trading as what you have seen in the Web 2 world, right? So that's why, going forward, we hope that with the development in the infrastructures, in the networks, as well as all the other pieces coming together, we hope the oracles can be faster and more sensitive, right? So, for example, you look at the FX world, right? The FX exchanges, right? So the data is moving every tick, yet the oracle price today still stay constant for a long period of time. So we want the oracles to move together with the external market. But of course, the trade-off has always been decentralization, right? And because it's like why blockchain is slow. It's because for security, for decentralization, this is the choice we made. But then, we hope that at the oracle layer, this can be faster, more sensitive at the same time without jeopardizing decentralization.
Yeah, and accuracy is super important, right? Because if you have like a money markets depending on your liquidation price, right? Literally, if like 1 cent difference, you get liquidated. Like, hey, you do want accuracy, but I think that's it. There's also like technical limitations, right? Because you're dependent on block time, right? If the block time is 30 seconds, like you can't update the state faster than that, right? Which is why of course people are looking at scalability solutions, but yeah, accuracy. If you want to get mass adoption for like super big number of users, 100%, you need like better accuracy. That's like you just need to keep fine tuning that, right?
Okay, got it. So to summarize, it's more on the development would be more on the speeds and the sensitivity of the oracles on the data, on the change in data, and also on the other side would be potentially the sector of the off-chain side that we could reach in some of the data into blockchain. So let's explore more on the off-chain side. So how do you, what do you think on this side? Like, do you think the off-chain development on oracles to pull some of data in would happen soon, or what's the obstacle of bringing off-chain data in to the blockchain world? I mean, this is one of the like very big use case in the blockchain world because like a lot of data are stuck outside the blockchain, and then we can really have a way to pull it in. And so if we do, we could potentially see a mass adoption in blockchain. So like what do you think are the limitation of that part?
Yeah, I would say it works in a reverse way, right? First, there's demand of activities that happening on chain, and then that drives the decision about what data we're gonna take from the off-chain world to the on-chain world, right? So So that's why the demand comes first. The use case actually comes first. At SynFutures, we actually enable like permissionless listing of new assets. So long as there is community demand for certain assets to create a futures pool, they could do that within 30 seconds without any approval, seamlessly. So that drives the price sources that SynFutures take. Basically today mostly from spot X's, because the other like Oracle service providers act relatively more slower than the spot X, right? Because spot X listing is also permissionless. So this is demand driven. But let's say in a scenario where supposedly tonight a lot of people want to bet on the result of the World Cup, on chain. I'm very sure sometime tomorrow, next week, there will be data feeding from off chain to on chain world for that piece of data. So again, demand would drive what people what developers will make. Because otherwise, you make something that no one uses, it's useless.
Yeah, totally agree. It's demand driven, right? Because just the design space is literally you could do any arbitrary event, right? Like let's say Matt for whatever reason wants to reduce his on-chain asset risk when his like 7-day moving average heart rate is going up because maybe he think he has a health risk, right? Maybe I want to start selling BDC, right? Technically you could make it happen. You could make any of these things happen. It's just like why and who is this customer? Is there really this demand? But the design space is actually very big. It's just what are the relevant use cases, right?
Got it. So basically, it's all the way. So basically, it's all in the crypto all the way long, right? Like everything is all about the demand-driven, community-driven, product-driven, right? So when the times come, people will just trade on the trades away against the decentralized or the scalability of that part, right? Just to make the product happen. Okay, moving on. More into the DeFi side. You guys have talked about it earlier. So I mean, I believe that DeFi is one of the favorite sectors in everyone in the hall here, because like it's one of the thing that pulls like a lot of people in, and then even though it's like a bit bear market, people still use DeFi. So I mean, SynFuture and Coinhall as a trading platform, how are you leveraging the data or oracles to power your application? Who want to take that first?
Yeah, maybe I can start. For
Sure.
us, we actually use zero oracles because, like Matt alluded to earlier, we use DEX spot data, right? Because you don't need an intermediary, which is an oracle. Literally, the trade happens. Asset A was swapped with asset B. You take how much was swapped, you got the price. So that is the source of truth because it was exactly this quantity swapped to this quantity. These are all on-chain data, right? You query the RPC of you get this data. Everyone has access to this data. So for us, we actually do a lot of computations off chain, right? You run a DEX aggregator, good chance you're doing routing off chain because you don't want to pay gas. However cheap gas is, if you're simulating anything, you're storing things on a database, a lot of things are still off chain. The things you execute on chain are maybe you want to post transactions to change the state, right? To update balances. That's from a data efficiency standpoint, actually a lot of things are done off chain. Like you think it's decentralized in the execution, but actually the computing, the storage, a lot of things are off chain, right? I don't know if you guys do it differently.
Yeah, for us, we're similar, right? We really, like Joseph mentioned, source of truth. Yeah, it's critical in terms of financial transactions. So the trading data is a more reliable source of truth than any like quoted or reference price source. So that's why for SynFutures actually most of the transactions happen for based on the source data from SpotX, from other trading related data sources rather than quoted sources. But what we do also built is a permissionless oracle on a Bitcoin hash rate because that wasn't really available on, let's say, the Ethereum or other EVM networks. So we take the Bitcoin network and use, basically use the data head of that to make a permissionless oracles for the hash rate for the difficulty that is available today on like Ethereum and other EVM chains. So that's also one of the new product we offer because we can do hash rate and difficulty futures for miners around the world to hedge their production. Yeah.
Right, got it. I mean, let's move on to the other question. This would be more into the limitation side. I mean, we started to talk about DeFi, and then we mentioned a bit about how Oracle could power DeFi, and then so wanted to ask more about the limitation on DeFi as of the current technology that we have right now. So what are the limitation on DeFi using the oracles or data feeding side? Is it the speed or the varieties of financial product, or is it the risk? What are the limitations?
Yeah, I think the biggest risk or limitation is hacks. Yeah, because in this world there are two types, right, of hacks, right? One is there's a flaw in the code. The second is due to poor financial design. So I would say overly relying on oracles for financial transaction will potentially be a source of financial design flaws. That we've seen this, for example, in a couple of other projects. Look, I don't want to mention the specific one, but there's one that in the name of a fruit that's very popular in Thailand, for example. Yeah, so the oracle breaks down, they got hacked. This is the biggest risk, and that's why for us again from day one, we make sure things are based on traded price rather than at a pure reference price. Yeah.
Okay, Joe, you wanna add something?
Yeah, anytime you're interacting with any end parties of layers of smart contracts, there's just additional risk, right? 5 parties, obviously more risk than 2 parties, but then decentralization versus like technological risk, that's kind of the balance. But limitations, actually, I think the biggest limitation is access because so we are in the Cosmos ecosystem, which is a bit different from the field that Matt's playing in more EVM side. That side, I think there's a lot more on-chain flows, right? There are very mature players helping users on-ramp fiat to crypto into their non-custodial wallets. In the Cosmos ecosystem, it's like super immature, right? So it's literally the same DeFi users shifting around the same, like, I'm going to say like 6 figures number of users shifting around all the different chains, mining each other's liquidity, trying to farm airdrops for a specific DEX, a specific money market. So I think the raw number of unique users, that's the challenging part, and how to overcome that. You need more access, you need more avenues that people can get data on chain, you need more education on people understanding how to operate their non-custodial wallets. So yeah.
So basically, the limitation are not just on the Oracle part, but then more on the mass adoption side and how people, the knowledge on people to use crypto, and then how they truly understand it and use it in their life. Okay, so moving on, almost the last question here. So I mean, you guys are operating the DeFi trading platforms, and then we do have heard a lot of hacks and all, and then people losing funds in different exchange. So I think people are right now are really wanting to go on DeFi and trades, but then it's not that efficient. So the question is, what should be the ideal DeFi trading experience? What should it be? What should it look like? And when will we see it happen? And if it happen, will it potentially unlock other sector in cryptocurrency?
Maybe I'll start. There's so much abstraction that needs to be done. So now the user has to care about first like a wallet, a blockchain. You need to care about the underlying exchange. What's the exchange mechanism? Is it an AMM? Is it an order book? I think ideal experience should just be you come to a platform. It's super simple to use. You want to swap A to B. That's it, right? Like let's say you want to buy token B, right? The exchange can already pick up from your wallet where your funds are, what tokens you have, and just feed it seamlessly for you to change to where you're funded into the destination token. Abstract everything else. Abstract the concept of aggregation, routing, trade splitting. All these is just means to an end. The end is just giving the user a best price, making it easy, one-click experience, right? So it's like using Expedia. So in booking my trip here, you look at when you look at Expedia, it's just a one page checkout, right? But then when you look at your bank app, I actually paid for my hotel to a different provider, different airlines, right? So I think DeFi should take on that experience, which is like Web2 has developed well for like years. It's just simple. You check out whoever you're gonna split the fees with. That's your problem, right?
So basically, it's more of like a centralized exchange experience plus the aggregation features from all the liquidities that is available in all around the world, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, I would say you don't let the user know this is DeFi, right? You just tell them this is safe. Because the mass adoption gonna happen when we're gonna have 200 or 300 million users in the DeFi world. You can't educate everyone what DeFi is. At the end of the day, just give them a good experience that's fast, reliable, and safe. And at the same time, tell them this is all enabled by decentralization.
Got it. So it should be easy. Yep. You wanna add something?
Yeah, you shouldn't have to say like, this is this pool. I'm actually using this custody solution on the back end. My market maker is this, right? Like the user doesn't care. It's like, can I execute it fast? If I want to buy, is there liquidity that my trade goes through? End of story. Like nobody cares like what's your wallet provider, what's your anything else that goes in the background. It just needs to work. Yeah, it's safe. Yeah, that's it, right?
Okay, got it. And then so the exciting question would be, when do you think we will see it happen? When do you think you will see those kind of experience happen?
When will that happen? My take is I think 2 to 3 years. Because this world runs 4 times faster than the actual, the TradFi world. So 2 to 3 years is like 10 years already. And I think that's more than enough for the infrastructure to develop, for the developers like us to develop better user experience, and for the mass market to migrate to the DeFi world. That's enough, 2 to 3 years.
You, Joe?
I think UI UX wise, it can be faster. It could be 6 months, 12 months, right? Because like everyone's talking about like, I want a decentralized sex-like experience, right? That's not hard to do because instead of your usual centralized exchange, you are pressing, key in OTP or something. You're just signing via the wallet. So the UI UX part is the less challenging part. It's more of like, can you solve liquidity problems? Can you get users on board? Do the users understand? Can you abstract away like, this is the canonical token, this is actually USDC, because the centralized exchange has done that like incredibly well, right? USD, the moment you deposit USDC, whether you deposit via like Matic, ERC20, Tron, in your balance it's just USDC, right? If on-chain is like literally like, I got rep something, right? I got Axelar rep USDC.
Too much to understand.
It's crazy. So UI UX wise, possible. It's just and we also need to be cognizant that when there's economic incentives, people just get greedy, right? People don't want to cooperate. People like want their own chain, they want their own rep version. So that coordination part is the tricky part, not the UI UX, right?
Okay, got it. Okay. And so if it really happens, so do you think it will unlock any other potential sectors? Let's say right now there are some of the sector that could have been more innovative or could have done more in terms of technology wise. So if that happens, do you think it's gonna unlock any other sectors else? What could be better in the other sectors if that happens?
If that happens, I think, look, I cannot speak on behalf of other sectors, but
Okay.
if that happens, I believe for us, we're gonna have 10 million, 20 million users. So hopefully, we can still be there, when that happens, in 2 to 3 years, and luckily that I think we will. So we're gonna develop this together.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, it's hard to extrapolate, like based on existing technology, broad categories of human experiences are already there, right? Because DeFi, basically that's just a financial instrument, just a financial experience, a product, right? Games, all these, this is just broadly speaking like entertainment, right? Will a human drastically change his life? Maybe VR, but that's like in the near future. I think a lot of things are already mapped to existing parallels in your human experiences over the last like 100 years. So yeah.
Got it. So basically, it's hard to imagine, right? Like going back into the last few years, like 5 years, we're not gonna know that GameFi gonna come, NFT gonna come, and even DeFi is gonna be this efficient. So probably wait and see, right?
Yes, we'll wait and see. Yeah.
Wait for the next bull run. Right, I think that's it. Let's conclude this panel of the event, the role of data and Oracle network. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, you both.
Appreciate it.